My husband and I have been together since my oldest, 13, was 2. I was told years ago I would never be able to conceive another child due to only having one fallopian tube, one had to be removed, and having significant scarring. However, we did end up pregnant last year by some miracle, and I just gave birth to our daughter 3 weeks ago. Everyone was over the moon, including my son. He had wanted a sibling and had been asking since he was easily 3 or 4. But my husband is weird now. Or at least in my eyes. And I guess that is what I'm here to talk about. So, if my son kisses the baby on the forehead, my husband starts freaking out. Don't you ever kiss that baby again. That's disgusting. You could give her a virus, etc., etc. If my son moves even a centimeter while holding the baby, my husband is freaking out. Don't move like that. You're going to hurt her head. If my son blows raspberries on the baby's belly, my husband tells him to stop, saying he's being too rough. He has become a whole helicopter parent, filled with paranoia and anxiety, but refuses to be seen by a doctor, and it's just. I'm starting to rage. To a point where I have an appointment to get tested for postpartum rage, but I truly don't think I have it. I think my husband is triggering me. But here's the massive issue. My mother-in-law came here yesterday and full-on kissed our daughter right beside her mouth, and my husband didn't say shat. Just sat there smiling. So, I stepped in and said exactly what he said to my son. I said, "Don't you ever kiss that baby again. That's disgusting. You are going to give her a virus." She immediately stopped. But then she started swinging our daughter in a football hold with her head pointed down toward the floor. She was going pretty fast, to a point of a startle reflux. So I immediately told her to stop holding the baby like that and that she's being too rough. She says, "I've had 4 kids, I am not dumb," so I said, "I don't care." She stops, hands off the baby, and then left maybe 5 minutes later. My husband asks why I'm being such an a-hole to his mom, so I said, "Why are you being such an a-hole to my son?" He asked what I meant and asked for examples, so I gave him the side-by-side comparison examples to his mother versus my son. He shakes his head and said I'm making shit up. I know for a fact I'm not making anything up at all. I've spoken to him before about getting for my son's case, and said plainly to back off my son, or I'm going to treat all of his family members the same way he's been treating my son due to his paranoia, and it will make it so no one comes around anymore. He says I'm taking shit too far. That kids have germs and are more rough and clumsy. I told him I didn't give a duck. And yes, I have talked to him about his comments to my son. Right in front of my son and in private. He says I'm blowing things out of proportion.
Comment 1. I believe you're a great mom for standing up for your son. My stepdad started being the same way with me when I was younger after he had his biological daughter, to the point where I was kicked out of the house. I know my mom loves me but not enough to choose me over my stepdad, so by comparison I think you are a very strong and kind person for standing up for your son. Comment 2. You need counseling, and if your husband can't stop his nonsense, you need to get away from there. Sadly, many men forget about their stepchildren and replace them with their bio children even after 10+ years of parenting. And especially when the kids in question are boys/teenage boys. The stepdads start to go testosterone drunk and pretend they are the silverback competing with a new contestant for the throne. They don't seem to understand that they are just a dad suddenly turning into a bully, seen from the viewpoint of the boy. Comment 3. You need to protect your son over your husband's feelings. He's borderline emotionally abusing your son and leaving him out, and this is going to cause a lot of resentment between your son and his new sister and his stepfather. I would straight up tell your husband that if he doesn't get into therapy right away and work on his shat, you and the kids are gone. You can't stay with someone who treats your children differently, or your son will suffer. I'm 52F and this situation concerns my husband's brother Drew, 59M, and his wife of 5 years Suzanne, 35F. Drew supports Suzanne on his income while she focuses on her dream of being an artist. She makes paintings of people and animals, and has a website where she advertises her work for sale. Privately, I don't think her art is very good. It's absolutely better than what I could do, but it doesn't look professional, if you know what I mean. My husband feels the same, so we have not opted to purchase any of her art, despite her dropping hints here and there about it. The art on her site is priced in the $35K range. I realize that labor and cost of materials must be taken into account, but given the quality, those prices seem outrageous to me. I suspect she's not making regular sales, because she started making portraits of friends, family, or pets as a surprise, and usually, said family and friends end up feeling obligated to buy the painting as a courtesy. Unfortunately, my husband and I were the latest victims of this sales tactic. My son recently proposed to his girlfriend, and we took the two of them, his girlfriend's parents, and our daughter out to a fancy dinner to celebrate. Both my kids posted pictures from dinner on social media. Without telling anyone, Suzanne decided to make a painting of one of these pictures, of everyone smiling for the camera. She revealed the big surprise at a party she and Drew hosted 2 weeks ago. The painting is a whopping 40 by 58, and I honestly think it's awful. Kitsch and tacky. I told Suzanne it was sweet of her to commemorate such a special moment in our family, but I carefully avoided saying anything about liking it. As I feared, she kept dropping hints throughout the party about how we can buy it as a wedding gift, and she would be happy to give us a big discount off what she would charge someone else. Who else would buy it? I politely dodged these hints, and she was clearly disappointed. Over the weekend, Drew reached out to my husband to say that Suzanne feels hurt that we never made an offer. He said it's becoming obvious as the years go by that we've never purchased one of her pieces, even though we have the means to do so, and it would mean a lot to them if we buy the painting. Her original asking price was $2,500, and Drew said he'll reduce it further to $1,900. It's not about the money, not entirely, it's the principle of the thing. I feel like I'm being strong-armed into paying for something I never asked for, don't like, and don't have space for in my house. I asked, and my son and his fiancée don't want it. My husband thinks we should just buy it to keep the peace in the family and avoid a potential rift with Suzanne and Drew. He also says the way I talk makes me sound like a snob, even though I would never share these opinions with anyone I know but him. Comment 1. NTA, I will simply ask her why won't she gift it to the happy couple and follow up asking did she only make the painting so that she can make money and not for her nephew and his new fiancé. You're definitely not wrong, but I'm petty and would make sure to turn this around on her. Comment 2. First off, as a working artist and art professor, no professional artist would paint from a photo without express permission, so she's not a professional. Second, that size is ridiculous. It puts me in mind of the gigantic and totally awful painting Amy had made of her and Penny in Big Bang Theory. I would urge you to simply tell Drew, kindly but firmly, that you aren't going to buy the painting or any of Suzanne's artwork and ask him to please let it drop. If you buy this painting, you're setting yourself up for more of Suzanne's ambush marketing. I won't lie, now I'm dying to see the painting, LOL. NTA for not wanting to pay $2,000 for bad art. Comment 3. Haha, definitely NTA. I think it's normal to support artists in your family or social circle by buying a small or medium piece even if you don't really like it that much. However, expecting petty purchases to the tune of thousands of dollars is ridiculous. Moreover, making tailor-made gifts depicting certain people and then expecting them to pay for it so tacky. I wonder how she even feels good doing this. It's pretty obvious at this point that she is forcing people to pay and not earning the sales. I'd say stand your ground and make it clear that she should not be making huge portraits of people without their consent. Even if it were a great piece, people just don't necessarily want that sort of thing. I, 26F, have been with my fiancé, 27M, who'll call Mark, for 6 years. Those 6 years have been great. We've had fights and issues, but never something big that gave me a red flag. He's a great man to me and he always treated me so well. Now here comes the issue. Mark has left the wedding planning to me since he knows I love this type of stuff, and I've always had a vision for what my wedding is going to look like. My soon-to-be mother-in-law has very loud opinions on a lot of things that I want for my wedding. When we went to the store to try on dresses, it was me, my sister, my mother, and my mother-in-law. I knew I wanted a fitted off-the-shoulder wedding dress, and there were so much gorgeous ones that were my exact type. When I tried them on, everyone loved them except my mother-in-law. She was very loud about her opinion and even went as far as to say I looked like a stripper. Her comment started a big fight between my family and her. My sister especially was pissed and I admit said something pretty nasty things to my mother-in-law. This resulted in her crying to my fiancé. That day, me and fiancé fought and he said that my family was in the wrong for upsetting his mother over a silly comment. I eventually gave in and got a dress that made everyone happy, which was a ball gown type of dress. I come from a family of florists, so my family was covering for all of that. My mom owns her own flower shop and she's the most popular in our town. I love flowers, I always had since I was a child. This is something I'm not willingly to give up. For my wedding, I've always wanted a wildflower theme. I chose an outdoor venue and had a plan to decorate the place with my choice of flowers. I don't know why, but Mill was so against the idea of the flowers I chose. When she saw the bouquet and the flowers I chose, she yelled at me that this was tacky, that the people she invited to my wedding were going to think that her son is marrying someone cheap. She told me that red roses would look so much better and romantic. I refused. She went to Mark about it. Mark and I ended up getting into a fight because this was something I absolutely refused to give up. He told me it was just a small thing I had to give up and that after this was all over, we'd be happy with our new life. Even after the argument, I was adamant about my decision and wasn't backing down, which resulted in him leaving the house and going to his mother's. This has been going on for 3 days and he still hasn't texted me or called me back. Comment 1. Huge NTA. Your fiancé is a big R here though. You're his soon-to-be wife, he should be defending you and protecting your happiness. Not running away to mommy. I say this from personal experience, nearly could have wrote your post myself, either cut your losses now or get into couples therapy ASAP before continuing anything else. This doesn't end when you get married. If you're planning on having kids, your Mill will be there to give her opinion. Even if you don't have kids, she will not be backing down about her opinion. Your fiancé needs to get a shiny new spine/see the light and not let his mother treat you this way. This is your wedding and you should be able to enjoy this experience and have everything that you both want. Comment 2. This is a huge red flag. This is your wedding, not the Mill. The dress should have been for you only. I don't understand why this woman gets to tell you your wedding colors. I married my husband the way we chose, and because she, my Mill, tried to run our relationship and financials, it ended up in non-stop drama 10 of the 12 years we've been together. Unless you want her putting her stamp on all your personal marriage issues, I definitely speak to Mark about weddings being about the bride and groom, not the Mill's social status regarding what she thinks looks cheap. I'm 16M, in therapy with my dad and stepmom. It's been 3 or 4 months of therapy now. We started going because my stepmom wants a different relationship with me than I want with her. Her feelings were getting hurt and I was getting frustrated with feeling like what I wanted didn't matter and that her wants were the priority. Stepmom has been stepmom since I was 9 and I've known her since I was 9. I didn't really get time in between meeting her and her marrying dad to get to know her well because she moved states to live with us. I lost my mom when I was 5. She wanted us to have a mom/son dynamic. I saw her as family but not as a mom or even an actual parent. I do respect her. I think she's nice. I think she's funny and we'd be friends easier if I had been older. But I don't want another mom. Her giving birth to my half-siblings didn't change that for me, but having them made her more eager for more. She calls me her son all the time. I have voiced before that I wish she'd say stepson. I was ignored and it was never addressed. When we started therapy, I had mentioned that was something I disliked. She had talked about how she disliked me calling her by her name. How she wanted something more formal between us, like mama or something. Dad said he wanted me to embrace having a second mom. He wanted me to let my stepmom be my second mom. I was honest that I feel like my voice doesn't matter when they ignore me asking her to call me her stepson. I explained why I want that, why I feel as I do. They tried to dismiss it, but the therapist told them to stop. She told them that me feeling like it lessens my mom is valid. That many kids and adults feel that way. And while that could change if I wanted it to, if I wanted to work on that, if not, it was something they would need to accept. 2 weeks ago she gave us homework. She wanted us to sit down and discuss outside of therapy the whole son/mama thing and come back to her with notes from it. She also wanted my stepmom to call me her stepson for a week. They didn't do any of that. I told the therapist during our session last week. I said they refused to sit with me, true, and she never once called me her stepson. I was asked to sit out for the rest of the session and she had it just them and her that day. They are so pissed at me. They told me I had done that to spite them and it's not fair that my stepmom has to do the work but not me, and she's right while I'm wrong. Comment 1. NTA. Therapy is hard, and it's painful, but you only get toward a better ending if you're all honest and do the work. It sounds like they've been hoping that the therapist will just blindly agree with them rather than really having to put their own egos aside. Comment 2. Therapy only works if the participants are open to finding it within themselves to make changes. In this case, none of the parties seem to want to change, so I don't know what therapy is going to solve. This isn't the fault of the therapist, it's the reality of what therapy can do. That's why court-ordered therapy/rehab is so often a failure, because the individual does not actually want to change, and nothing the therapist says can fix that. It has come from the participants. Comment 3. NTA. They cannot force their wants on you. They obviously agreed to therapy and that means being held accountable. You did right to tell the therapist. They are in the wrong. She clearly does not respect your boundaries, so why would you want to call her something endearing when she is not endearing? I am sorry you are in this position, but you should not be forced to call her anything but what you are comfortable calling her. Don't let them blame you into thinking you are wrong. You are not.